Tanks are enormous, nasty vehicles that can quickly destroy their targets, but sometimes a small piece of equipment may do tasks that a larger object cannot. Hello and welcome to the next military future video. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the military tanks that'll defeat Russia. Rheinmetall Weasel 1. During the Cold War, the Germans' ability to concentrate air units close to the action was vital, but dropping paratroopers alone wasn't enough. They also needed to be protected from some of the guns and carry at least some anti-tank weapons. Thus, the concept for those Rheinmetall Weasel 1 was born. Initially, they aimed to make the target small enough to be transported by cargo planes, but subsequently, they hoped to be able to do so using helicopters. It was built by Porsche in the middle of the 1980s and featured a 20mm autocannon and a two-person crew, including the driver and the gunner who served as the commander. Powered by a 2-liter, 5-cylinder VW turbo diesel engine with 85 horsepower, it had a top speed of 65 kph off-road and 80 kph on roads. Outstanding, right? Despite not being amphibious, due to its lightweight, it can easily cross 50 centimeters of water on its own where other objects cannot. Later versions have more potent-towed anti-tank missiles that need a 3-person crew to operate. Light Tank Mk7 Tetrarch. The name seems hard, but it looks simple. The Tetrarch, often referred to as the Light Tank Mk7A17, was a British light tank built by Vickers Armstrongs in the late 1930s and employed in the Second World War. The Tetrarch was the most recent in the company's line of light tanks made for the British Army. Adding the more potent 2-pounder cannon enhanced the light tank Mk Vic, its forerunner. The War Office placed an initial order for 70 tanks, which subsequently rose to 220. Only 100 to 177 of the tanks were manufactured because a number of circumstances caused the production to be delayed. Tetrarchs were not used in the North African campaign due to the tank's design problems and the War Office's decision to forbid the employment of light tanks in British armored divisions. Tankette. The name makes it feel like a comedy, but it is a villain. A tankette is a tracked armored fighting vehicle about the size of a car that looks like a miniature tank. It is mainly used for scouting and light infantry support. It may also be used colloquially to refer to a small tank. Between the 1920s and the 1940s, a number of nations produced tankettes, some of which saw limited action in the early days of World War II. But gradually, armies abandoned the idea due to the weakness of their light armor, with notable outliers like the more contemporary German Weasel series. Tankettes came in 2 and 3 main variations. Some had to have the occupant lie on their back. Some versions had no turrets at all, together with track mobility, which is frequently considered as defining the notion. Or they had very basic turrets that could only be moved by the user's hand or leg. They lacked a tank gun and were considerably smaller than light tanks. Instead, they were typically armed with 1 or 2 machine guns, or on rare occasions, a 20mm autocannon or a grenade launcher. The armored warfare of World War I served as the inspiration for the tankette design. In the latter stages of the war on the Western Front, Allied tanks were able to penetrate enemy trench lines, but the infantry that followed the tanks and was required to occupy and hold the land won was easily stopped or delayed by small arms, fire, and artillery. L335. An Italian tankette known as the L335 or Carro Veloce CV35 saw action both before and during World War II. Although the Italian army classified it as a light tank, its turretless design, weight, and firepower aligned with modern tankettes. It was the most prevalent Italian armored combat vehicle. It was used practically everywhere the Italians fought in World War II, but its thin armor and limited machine gun armament made it unsuitable for modern warfare. The Cardin-Lloyd Mark VI tankette, of which 4 were purchased from Britain in 1929, served as the basis for the L335. Italian for quick tank, Carro Veloce was the name given to the first vehicle the Italians created from the Cardin-Lloyd tankette. CV stands for the year of adoption, and 29 stands for the designation. Only 21 CV29s were produced. Let me stop you there and take a moment to remind you to like and subscribe to this video if you find it interesting. Remember to click the bell icon to receive a notification when we upload a new video. Let's move to our topic. L333. The Italian army employed a tankette known as the Carro Veloce 33 or CV33 or L333 before and throughout World War II. It was based on the imported Cardin-Lloyd tankette from Great Britain, licensed built by Italy as the CV29. In 1935, many CV-33s underwent retrofitting in order to fulfill the requirements of the CV-35. The CV-33 and CV-35 were dubbed the L-333 and L-335s respectively in 1938. FV-101 Scorpion. The British FV-101 Scorpion is a light tank and an armored reconnaissance vehicle. It was the first of the 7 armored vehicles in the Combat Vehicle Reconnaissance Tracked CVRT family and the fire support type. It was produced by Alvis and entered service with the British Army in 1973 until being retired in 1994. A light tank or reconnaissance vehicle, more than 3,000 of them were made. It was observed traveling at 82.23 km per hour on the Kinetic Vehicle Test Track in Chertsey, Surrey on January 26, 2002, setting the Guinness World Record for the fastest production tank. Crazy, right? The Alvis Scorpion was created to fulfill a need for the Combat Vehicle Reconnaissance Tracked, or CVR, of the British Army or T. Alvis received the order to build 30 CVRT prototypes in 1967. The Scorpion prototypes, P1 through P17, were delivered on schedule and on budget. The British Army approved the Scorpion in May 1970 with a contract for 275 vehicles, which later increased to 313 vehicles, following lengthy hot and cold weather trials in Canada, Abu Dhabi, Norway, and Australia. The first vehicles for mass production were finished in 1972, and the Blues and Royals of the Household Cavalry became the first British regiment to employ the Scorpion in 1973. Themis. Milram Robotics in Estonia manufactures Themis, or Tracked Hybrid Modular Infantry System, an unmanned ground vehicle or UGV with a ground-based armored drone vehicle primarily intended for military uses. The vehicle is designed to support dismounted forces by using it as a transit platform, remote weapon station, IED detection and disposal unit, etc. The vehicle may perform multiple missions because of its open architecture. The Themis transport's primary function is to support on-base logistics and deliver last-mile replenishment for combat units at the front of the line. By lessening the strain of their bodies and minds, boosting standoff distance, force protection, and survival, it aids infantry forces. How insane can humans think? The Themis ISR UGVs can acquire intelligence using a variety of sophisticated sensors. They primarily serve to improve situational awareness, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities across large regions, as well as battle damage assessment capabilities. The system can efficiently improve the job of border guards, law enforcement, and dismounted army units to gather and process raw information and shorten commander reaction times. The Themis may fire rounds for conventional machine guns or missiles. It is amazing to think how these mini-tanks were created and how much they helped us and the military in the future. Let's know which of these micro-tanks you found the most fascinating in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell icon to see more videos like this.